Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, welcome back. That was President Trump giving a couple punches to Ilhan Omar and her husband. Oh, sorry, that was Habibi. We're joined today by Kyle Seraphin. He is a firecracker, and I love talking to him. Kyle, what's up, brother? It's good to see you.
What's going on, Joe? What are we doing?
We're talking about the greatest State of the Union address ever. You don't?
No,
Why?
not for me.
What?
I don't want 2 hours of someone telling me how great we're winning. So weird. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
Well, you don't think it was the greatest State of the Union ever?
No. So much winning, I can barely handle it. I can barely handle how much we're winning.
Well, what do you want to talk about then?
We should talk about some of the official business from my old agency, if you want.
From the FBI?
Yeah. You want to talk about the official business of the FBI?
Yeah,
I got some. I think we brought some leaked footage so people can get onto that if they want.
You brought leaked footage.
I don't know if you guys got it.
I want to play it. I want to play some leaked footage.
Roll.
All right. Okay.
The story you're about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Oh, no one is innocent?
It's official business of the FBI. It's official business. Yeah. It's official business of the FBI. Flying out to my land, raise your hands up high. Take a private jet like you own the sky. Olympic Village vibes, got a party in style. In the locker room scene, yeah, you skipped inside. Holding gold above your head like Simone Biles. Your name on the list like the Epstein files. If the press gonna ask, you could just deny. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, wave bye-bye. It's official business of the FBI. Must smash, not crash. Cocked is your eyes. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, fly cash. Yeah. It's just official business of the FBI. Being lazy with your job like your lazy eye. Strapping with the players like the jockstrap guy. Yelling, we won go like you played the night. Busting up a trick cause you beat Trump's guy. You get tripping, not slipping, it's your alibi.
Ted
Calling
Cruz.
national security. Nice try, only hockey cup you worthy is between their thighs. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, wave bye-bye. It's official business of the FBI. Must smash, not crash, cocked is your eyes. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, fly. It's official business of the FBI. Shooter tried to hit the prez while you in the sky. The cartel is at war with our Mexican allies, but your business is the bro down with the hockey guys. You're a schmuck with the puck on the taxpayer's dime. But phony on Zamboni skating like the slime of Gretzky and no regrets. Who wants to party all the time? Your miracle on ice is being terrible at crime. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, wait bye-bye. It's official business of the FBI. Smash, not crash, cocked is your eyes. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, fly. It's official business of the FBI. A ridiculous Icarus with wings in the sky. Overcompensating for being small as a fly. What was it you said about Chris Ray's G5? Investigation, no vacation, nobody buys your life. Bullshitting ain't fitting for a man of your size. You couldn't watch on TV, you had to be by that side. Ain't J. Edgar behavior, can't let this one slide. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, wait bye-bye. It's official business of the FBI. No smash, not crash, cocked is your eyes. It's official business of the FBI. Fly cash, fly.
Really hate that sad loser.
I should have watched that before I put it on. I should have.
He said, "You've heard." Joe, he said, "You've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Have you seen Schmuck on a Puck?"
I feel like I've been set up a little bit.
Got you good. That's a banger, though. Come on, tell me that's not a banger.
I mean, look, the beat is good.
So
but
good.
They gave Kash Patel a dad bod, made him like 280 pounds.
He looked like he was he was wearing your frame there, Chief.
Oh, that's nice of you. That's really nice of you.
You're not a small guy. Kash Patel's like my size.
Yeah, but I'm not a big guy.
Well, but if you took you down to Kash Patel's height, then
I can out push up you.
No, you can't out push up me. You probably can out bench me.
No, I can out bench you too, but I can out push up you.
We'll see. Let's do it. So I got you good. That was good. That was fun. Are they shaking their heads no?
Who? About me
Whoever.
push-upping?
Wait, aren't you injured right now? You can't out push up me.
That's the only thing I can do, brother. I'm not allowed to do anything until after this surgery.
Yeah. All right.
And I got to tell everyone about the surgery. Yeah. So look, I finally am getting it done though. That's the good news. I'll finally be in great shape, back to sveltness.
Spell.
6 weeks.
I want that for you. 6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks of downtime and then some rehab.
Yeah, then massive rehab, and then I get to. I'm going to come do workouts with you.
Dude, I love it. We do some good
Super
workouts.
fun. Yeah, I mean, we won't stop. Can't stop. Dude,
I know.
everyone's like,
They're like, what's wrong with these guys? I told you about my workout the other day, and you're like, that sounds good. I'm like, come on.
but
we can do it.
Those are the workouts that you love, where you basically leave it all on the floor, and I mean really leave it on the floor. Like your shoes are dripping.
Every day, every time I do it. Yeah, I'm gross. I sweat like a freak.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So there you
I've been
go.
able to do it, and
I know.
since 2022.
So that was a fun video, though. Undeniable.
That was a fun video.
What are we talking about today, Joe?
We're talking about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the fact that the person that's holding up the SAVE Act passing is a geriatric clown. The state of
that doesn't even narrow it down. What do we do with that?
I mean, Mitch McConnell stood in front of the microphone when asked about the SAVE Act, and he couldn't answer the question. He was basically led around. He's an incoherent walking shell of a man.
But he's been like that for years now.
But everyone can see it. Why in the world would we have somebody that's incapacitated? I mean, this is the same thing as having Biden in office. I mean, that guy was what?
Because the ongoing supposition would be is that we actually don't have a constitutional republic at all. We just have these really, really bad actors, and since they're useful and their staff is already in place, we just like let them hang out there until they die. They all aspire to do what Dianne Feinstein did. They want to turn they want to turn into a skeleton that is barely wearing skin and die in office if they can. And Chuck Grassley's just as bad, and anybody that's basically over the age of about 70 out there. I'm not mad at people over 70. It's like, isn't there something more fulfilling in your life? You know, I would be pissed if my dad wanted to run for national office. And my dad's in his 70s. I love my dad. I like him more than any other person in their 70s. Period. Hands down. No exception.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd be furious if he was like, hey, I'm going to run for Senate. I'd be like, just because you fit in there in that old folks home of senators, like, first of all, my dad's like probably in better shape than them. And gross. Absolutely gross. Like, isn't there some meaning in your life that you can go pursue? Children,
grandkids,
add wisdom to something. Yeah, grandkids. Take it, like, step up for your kids and be there and watch their kids grow up. Like, isn't that the thing that we all wanted to do? I don't know. It's bizarre.
Well,
Mitch McConnell is nasty looking.
It's actually not bizarre for a few reasons. Good people, by the way, that live out a good legacy, can hand back power because power's never been important to them. But people who are weak and pathetic in life, like who they are as people, those people have to hold on to that importance all the way to the bitter end. And I look at the success that I had in business and having to step away from my company for 3 or 4 years. I thought it was going to be much tougher than it was to step out of a position where I was the guy all the time, moving and shaking and having a good time. And it wasn't difficult at all because I was serving a higher purpose. I was traveling around the country doing what was necessary, getting us to a place where, we have safe and secure elections, which we still don't have. So I failed miserably.
You can't work out.
I can't work out. Yeah.
And our elections are a joke.
Yeah.
So things are going well, is what you mean.
Things are going really well. So just so you know, the numbers in Congress, I wanted you to know this. The number of Congress members that are over the age of 80, 24.
I know. I saw this at the beginning of the year. It's insane.
Yeah. 70 to 79, 90 to 100, depending on when their birth certificate was, where their birth certificate came from, right?
In a body of, we're talking about 535 people, and 130 of them are too old.
Yeah.
It's freaking insane, man. And there's no other job. Like, you wouldn't let a pilot be that old. Not because you don't think that they don't have the possibility of flying a plane, but it's just like, look, the demand of it, there's a certain time when your reaction time is slow, when and I would say this is not very nice, but I just mean it in a loving way, if I can. If one of the biggest threats to your life every single day is a rug, which over the age of 70, rugs are one of the statistically most dangerous things in your life, whether you like it or not, across the country, aggregate. Yeah. If rugs are in the top 5, top 10 most dangerous things in your life, it's time for you to not maybe be in elected office. It's just not that big of a deal. Joe Biden almost died from a rug and a dog that was outside of a shower, allegedly.
And a bike. And
a bike. He almost had a brain bleed and a set of stairs and a sandbag and the wind. Like, if you're in the category of people where at any moment you might topple over, break something critical, and then never be the same again. And
right,
that thing is something that is everywhere. I mean, it's just that's a really big problem. That's not about ageism. That's about recognize your limits as a human being. Have the humility to say there's a time to step away. And about a fourth of them don't. They don't have it.
So let me address this comment. When Kyle and Joe close in on their 70s and they're still sharp, they're going to regret making such glib comments now. All right,
No,
let me
I'm
just
not.
explain something to you. I think at 70 years old, you should be able to enjoy life and take your foot off the gas. That's it.
Yes.
Right? One of my best friends is 89 years old. His name's Gordon. I hang out with him all the time, right? He is amazing. He's an amazing part of my life. And having to spend the last 6 years or so doing the things that I've done has taken my time away from the end of his life. Which, if you want to know anything that I regret the most, it's not spending time with the man that literally helped me through some of the most formative parts of my business acumen of becoming more successful. So I think you're missing the point that you can have people that have wisdom and still not have them do what Mitch McConnell is doing. Once you get to a point where you're incapacitated, let's say we take age off the table. When you're incapacitated and you basically can't answer a question, you should be shown the door.
It's abusive that they keep him there. And here's the thing that I find all the time, and I'll make glib comments about boomers because I think it bothers exactly the right people. Like, both of my parents are boomers and I love them dearly. And neither of them, my mom didn't even know she was a boomer. That's how much of my mom is a boomer. She didn't even know she was a boomer. And when I was like, hey, listen, Madam Boomer, and she was like, I'm not a boomer. And I was like, yes, you are. You don't even know when your birthday is. And you don't even know what a boomer is. And she was like, you're right, I don't. And then we talked about it and she went and looked it up. She sends me a message 2 days later and she goes, Kyle, I am a boomer. I'm like, I know. Mom, love you, but how did you not know? And I knew. And she's not even close to the boundary. She's like 5 years on the inside of it. She's like right in the middle. But it's not about boomers. It's not about age. It's about, hey, how about we recognize that there are times in your life when you're able to take extreme risk and you can do really dangerous and dumb things. There's a reason why we have like 17 to 21-year-olds are the age where people go to the Marine Corps and fight wars. Because your recovery is faster, maybe your sense of danger is lower, your sense of adventure is high, your drive to go and try to accomplish things, and the physical consequences don't even seem like they're going to be bothering you. And so you can take really bold, super dangerous moves that other people would never be able to do. Joe, how many times you look at somebody do something like jump from one place to another, and you're like, holy crap, if I did that, I would... Just knowing what jumping from one rock to another, if you screw it up, knowing what the consequence is. Right. You don't know that when you're 17 or 19 or 21.
So can I tell you?
Hold on, allow me to finish the thought. And it goes to this. There's a time where wisdom increases and our risk aversion kind of comes along with that as well. And when you're no longer able to be bold at the level of certain people who basically by the time you're at retirement age, your boldness has got to go away. Necessarily, so that you can continue on. Now, you can sit back and you can give advice and you can share wisdom and you should be able to enjoy your life. And I think that's what we want for people in this country. But to say that you at 75 should be steering the ship of the United States of America is freaking disgusting to me. And what it says is that you don't know when to let go, so your priorities are misaligned. And it also means that, like, where are the people that were supposed to take that reign? You know, Gen X kind of fell off in that in a big way. I didn't see Gen X step up. They're perfectly happy to let other people run the show, which also is a failing. So it's not just the failing of like, oh, like, why are the boomers sticking around? The other question is why were they not displaced? And so it's a joint problem. And Mitch McConnell has no business being in Congress at the age where he's literally tarting out on live television when they go, excuse me, sir. And he goes, he doesn't know where he is.
Said, are you done with their questions? And even
he doesn't even know where he is.
Question, he had no idea where he was.
And Biden was the same way. And everybody who made fun of Biden being ridiculous, because it is ridiculous to see that, should also recognize it's not about sides. It's about what's good for this country and like putting people that have passed the ability for them to be functional. And also, they shouldn't have to be. And more importantly, they shouldn't want to be. That's probably the last piece. That's my end.
So no, just so you know, 3 months ago, I went to a park because my wife's friend's daughter, she wanted to go to the park. She wanted to swing. Mm-hmm. And you know where you jump and you do a backflip on the swing? Jump and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I used to do this when I was a kid. I was really good at it. You know, you do the Power Ranger deal to stay out when you're younger. No, it's a real thing. Like,
I'm cringing thinking about you doing this right now.
I did it, no problem. And I landed, and my wife was like this.
Yeah, I would have
I can still do it.
Right,
She
but
goes,
when you were a
could have
kid,
broke both your legs, huh?
yeah, you could have been done. That could have been the end of you, because it could have literally been the end of you at this point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when you did it when you were in your 20s, it was like if you did it and you failed, then it was like, oh no, I landed on my spine.
Yeah.
Oh well, that'll grow back tomorrow, and then it would.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember kicking a football when I must have been like 30, and I grabbed the football and I could kick a ball forever, right? So I kicked the football. Well, I was on wet grass. I didn't tell you what happened. I Charlie Browned it.
Mm-hmm.
And I landed on my back, and my stomach went whoop, because you know how it swells when everything starts to swell. And and my kids were laughing, like, oh, Dad, until I couldn't get up.
You had a fallen and I can't get up moment.
Oh, it was terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, we're living in like an SNL skit right now with some of the comic sadness of some of these people that are in these jobs. And you know, the funny thing is we're supposed to actually have this. Shows you the dysfunction of our system. We're supposed to actually have the voters have a big say, and the idea that voters go out there and are like, you know who the best person for me is that's going to really represent me to the rest of the country? Mitch McConnell. And then they pull the lever for that guy, and they did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When he was non-functional then. He was already 1,000 years old. He already looked like he was Yertle the turtle without a shell.
Yeah, this is where we get into, but you looked around the room, and you even had people like Mark, what was the guy from Arizona, Mark Kelly, right? You have guys like him. He's in his late 60s, almost 70, right? Maybe mid 70.
I don't know. I should look him up. Mark Kelly. I'll look him up while you're talking.
Yeah. But even when I was looking out at the audience when I was watching the State of the Union, which, by the way, I want to get back to that because, man.
He's 62. He just looks prematurely old because he's bald.
Yeah. So, and I'm partially bald, but I tried to keep my hair so I look younger.
You look younger than him by a lot. He has.
I am younger than him by a lot.
Yeah, but you look younger too. You look younger too, though. Yeah, he doesn't look all that healthy.
No, he doesn't. So I put up this post, Kyle, put us next to it. And I basically said, it's probably the best State of the Union. I said, probably the best State of the Union address I've ever heard, not necessarily because we were in a better place now than I thought we would be a year in, but because President Trump went right for the throats of those people that betrayed the American people. He made demands of Congress, not requests, and he admonished the Supreme Court eloquently by pointing out the commitment to preserving the American people's interest over corporate or political interest. The number one priority is no machines and no mail-in ballots in person with an ID one day, hand-counted with clean voter rolls. The American people have had enough of the lies and the seditious betrayal. Let's go.
What is the State of the Union supposed to be, Joe?
A state of where we are as a country. What was the last year? Basically, it's a cleanup of what happened over the last year.
So what is the job of the president, though?
Well, I mean, so this is where...
In a constitutional sense, what is the job of the president? What is he meant to do?
He's meant to preserve the interests of the American people and to make sure that we have a solid foundation to go forward for the next generation. It's like turning a ship.
No.
Absolutely.
The job of the president is to execute the policies that have been passed through the legislature, because the representatives of the people are meant to go forward and tell the president, here's what the agenda, here's how it goes. I'm just talking like historically what is going on here, right? Yeah. The president's job, the State of the Union, is a status update to his boss in many ways. They may be a quote unquote co-equal branch of government, but the lead agency, the lead governmental branch is meant to be the legislature. That's why they're Article 1. And in a practical sense, the goal of coming in and doing the State of the Union is to say, you gave me the following things to do, and here is how I executed on them in the executive branch. This is the status update. Here's where we're at. And he's saying it to his boss, which are, in other words, are the people of America who are being represented by all the 535 people in there, plus the Supreme Court. That's not what that was. And so going after the throats of people, like all this crap is like, it just shows you, like, it just tells us our system is so hopelessly far afield from where it would have been, though. We're nowhere near a constitutional republic.
No, and we haven't been since 1891. And actually, more importantly, what you're talking about disappeared in 1913 when we actually created a new set of rules for how we don't have the country.
We don't have the legislator that it was meant to. So anyway, like, so how is it the best state of the union when it's just like all it does is acknowledge that we're in a divided, partisan, tribal,
Well, let me be the arbiter of reality. Let me be the arbiter of reality for a minute. It's not necessarily, hold on, it's not necessarily that we are divided. And this is actually one of the things I wanted to work the problem with you here. I went and met with 300 Democrats. Mm-hmm. I asked them all to speak. Tell me what they needed. Tell me what they want. Tell me what they saw. You know what they told me? They told me the same thing the Republicans tell me, which means the talking heads that we have in Congress are telling us what's important while the people basically starve to death. We basically betray the very people on both sides of the aisle. It's wings of the same bird, right? It is a duopoly of just absolute disgustingness that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And
let me say it a different way. There's no political right represented by a party. There's no right-wing political party in America. There's no balance. None.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's why even the Democrats, they're to the right of both these parties. They actually are. Like regular people are.
If you were to, yes, right. So yeah, take 80% of the country, 85% of the country.
Registered to whatever party you like. They're to the right of both political parties.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying.
And both parties have captured and enslaved, or we're like sharecroppers on a piece of land that they get to take from us. And then they get to tell us how much of the apple they get to give back to us. And in large part, they give back an apple that's been brought down to the core so you have little bits that you can eat off of it. But in essence, you got to eat the apple seeds and hope that that's enough to keep you alive.
Agreed on all that.
Right?
No question.
But what I want to say about the State of the Union that is important is that when he was talking to the Republicans and the Democrats, when he was out there talking under what you would call this modified democracy, because that's all they talk about. You won't hear any of them talk about constitutional republic. You won't hear them talk about constitutional efficiencies or the things that are guaranteed under the Constitution. The states don't do it when it comes to the First Amendment, Second Amendment. They're constantly passing laws that are counter to those principles. And I haven't got to the third article yet, but let's talk about just those two for a minute. And then our checks and balances as people is supposed to be to go to the Supreme Court and say, hey, look, take a look at these laws. But the Supreme Court selectively says, I don't want to talk about the First Amendment. I don't want to talk about the Second Amendment. I want you to suffer and be covered by these people until we can get another generation in where they've forgotten about the things that you're fighting for so that we can move that window over just far enough where we can take even more off the bone, right? And that is what he pointed out last night by going through these things. And I think one of the reasons why President Trump is on an island all by himself, and I don't care what you say, he's on an island by himself, is that he's standing there saying, this is just sensible stuff. We shouldn't have to talk about transgenderism. He said it. 15 years ago, it would have been like, what are you talking about? And yet we're having to actually debate the ridiculous on a normalized basis. That's all I'm saying.
Donald Trump is a 1990s Democrat.
Yeah.
Which was a reasonable position to be in. I could disagree with it as a 44-year-old man in 2026. I can look over at wherever Bill Clinton was and be like, yeah, there are things I don't like about what you're doing. I don't want to spend our money this way. This is not it. But Donald Trump sits as a 90s Democrat whose party left him, as many other Democrats did. Some of them still vote that way. Maybe they're not aware of it. But their solutions to the problems are all government. Donald Trump last night announced that they were going to do a new retirement account because the other retirement account that we have from the government also doesn't work, as though government is the answer to it. RFK Jr. is talking about the way that we fix the problem with the food system is to make sure that the government ensures that 50 million or 45 million children are getting healthy school lunches, instead of asking why in the actual F is the federal government, the biggest hammer that we have, why is it touching anybody's food that goes into their mouth? Well, under what business does the federal government has to do any of that stuff? Why are they involved in, like, forget about why there's daycare fraud from Somalis in any state, Minnesota or whatever. Why are we not asking why on earth is the federal government giving money for daycares? And why am I being taxed for it? Who thought this was okay? We have 4 million people working under the federal government as direct employees, as far as I can tell. That's insane.
More than that, but I mean, that's,
yeah, because I'm talking, I'm not talking about even contractors and all the sort of the fringe things that spin off, the blue badgers and people that are getting hired by companies where they're not actually counted as payroll.
It's 27 million people.
That's unsustainable. That's almost 1% of our entire population, and that's not including the people that are of working age. It's more than 1% of the working age people. It's 10% of the working age.
It's almost 16% of the working age.
Okay.
16% would be, yeah. So it's about 16%.
So that means that for every 9 people working, we're paying for 1 government employee at just the federal level. Just the federal level, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's over. Like it's you can't do that. You know that.
65. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's an unsustainable system to the point where, like, I think it's in a death spin where it can't actually be recovered. That's actually that actually is the most optimistic position ever. And it actually, for me, it's really liberating because I'm so less worried about whether or not our federal government fails. I'm just waiting for it to do that. And I think it's actually better for everybody when it does. Because I don't think you can come out of this. Didn't you and I just talk about this last night where you're like, oh, well, if we could just fix the voting systems, then in 12 years we could have elections that were not completely screwed.
No, not elections. It's going to take a minimum
to clear
of 2
out the
cycles.
system.
Right. It'll take 2
Right.
cycles for the voice of the people to be heard in such a way that, I mean, we do it now, right? We can get rid of people faster. Recalls will become more effective. I mean, the government will be held more accountable, and the shift away from special interests or lobbyists will happen almost automatically. But the cold hand of that is not. It's going to take two cycles, right? Or 2 election cycles to get to a place where it's even normalized.
And we're not even starting the clock on that yet. So
No, we're not.
I know, that's my point. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. In the same way that you had, like, if you ask anybody on the street, do you think members of Congress should have access to insider trading information? Should they be able to trade stocks? And the answer is, like, if you're part of the casino, you shouldn't be able to play at the table if you can see what happens underneath the table. And everybody agrees on that. And they can't get it through. And it won't happen. And I saw Tim Burchett sit with a Democrat last night, and they're like, we should do this. Donald Trump talked about this. So there's broad spectrum belief that certain things should happen, and it won't happen. So if it's not going to happen, if you're not going to get the cleanup of your election machines, there's only 2 possible outcomes, right? Either they fix the election system and then we're in it for 2 cycles until we can get clean whenever that starts, or they don't, and it continues as it does. And then it eventually has to topple.
Where are they talking about the government shutdown right now?
Nobody is.
But it's shut down.
I know. Allegedly, well, parts of it are, but they're still going to work. I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of government shutdowns because all they do is they show American people how little they need the federal government. There's such a small and there's such a narrow, what do they call it? Essential function of the federal government that needs to be done. We have agencies that people who live next door to the head of that agency don't know what that agency is and don't even know it exists. I mean, we have federal agencies that if you read the name of them, we could play a game where we would read random words that have no meaning, and we could string 4 of them together, and the odds are that if we did that 4 or 5 times, we would accidentally generate the name of a government agency that is just comically in existence and shouldn't be. That's how much government we have.
Well, let's...
And just for whatever it's worth, they just elected Abigail Spanberger, the people who work in those agencies. Right?
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, we are when I talk about elections, and everybody's like, well, we have fair elections in Florida, and I'm like, no, you don't. We have fair elections in Texas. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have fair Texas. In all 50 states, the elections are stolen at will. Whatever they want, they take.
Can I propose an idea, and you tell me if it's true?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it is. When I see all the media spin and the coverage of whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of people are mad about ICE. Like, nobody likes what's happening in Minnesota. They're out protesting. Some ladies got shot. There's people in the street. Rah, rah, rah. Here's this guy. Look at this guy. He's super mad. He's a regular guy. Like that stuff. All that news coverage.
Right.
What I see is what you call in the intel space cover for action, which is to say, when the outcome happens that was determined, I can point back to the cover for action and I could be like, oh, I understand why that thing happened. I remember seeing that guy that was really mad. There were like 150 people out in the snow, like standing outside of an ice facility. You could see that they represent whatever 10 million people in Minnesota that would vote this way. So I saw some small little thing and it generally makes sense to me. And so what I keep seeing is, and I tend to believe that you're right, that there are no real actual elections, that they're basically just willy-nilly decided, but it's not. They don't just decide them in a vacuum. They run a media propaganda campaign for us to be able to go like, well, that's what happened, right?
Yeah,
why did Donald?
They lobby
right,
for elections that they win.
And then how does Donald Trump get in if everything's still? It's like, well, they look at the bleed off valve. They go, look, no, that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, if you don't put Donald Trump in, then you probably have violence in the streets. That's a pretty good blow off valve. Let's just make him incapacitated by having a weak majority everywhere. Makes it look like you got something. Change can't happen. We got to go back to the status quo. So, that's been the ongoing supposition I have looking at the media space that we're in, which is kind of my little lens right now. It's pretty obvious that this stuff is just they're auditioning for you to accept the future outcome that's going to be put out there.
Yeah.
What say you?
I think that's if you play along, if you don't talk about the things that they don't want you to talk about, then they'll come to you and they'll groom you and they'll put you in that position. We saw it happen with Republican candidates that we thought were out of the gate some of the strongest candidates out there. And then it takes literally nothing at all in order to honeypot or to create some sort of leverage point with that individual. It doesn't matter what level we're talking about. You could be a school board, right? They're actually easier to honeypot than anything else. And it doesn't even matter what it is. I mean, the FBI, by the way, you work for the organization, they were kings at this. Right? They would dangle something over you or put pressure on you like a hot plate, just start stacking plates on your chest so you can't breathe. Then they're like, okay, we'll take the plates off if you do X, Y, and Z. Right? We act like the government doesn't do those things. We act like we have these sensible institutions that are doing the right thing because we use the Affordable Care Act. Well, how is that affordable? Right? We use terms that are dog whistles for bullshit.
Yeah, we use words like subsidies.
Yeah.
How come you didn't continue the subsidies? Oh, you mean how come you didn't take other people's money and pay for things that they didn't ask for and they don't need and they don't get a benefit of? Got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the same thing when you talking about CRP, which is government-controlled land, where they basically tell farmers you're not allowed to plant on this property or on this land, and we're going to pay you not to farm it. That happens in the United States everywhere. Just so you know, nearly 20% of the land across the entire United States sits dormant. I'm talking fertile land that could be planted, could create wheat, corn, all the things that we're actually gobbling up from other countries. But because of TRQs, we bring all that stuff in here, which is the quantitative way of which they make sure that any of the stuff that they bring in here stays at a certain level so they can control commodity prices.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
Do you know who Jonathan Winters is?
Mm-hmm.
You remember his name? Remember the comedian?
Yeah.
I had a cassette tape of Jonathan Winters when I was growing up.
I was hoping it was a comedian and it wasn't something else. And that way I'm remembering a comedian. You're like, no, he was the head of agriculture. No. I'm like, oh, shit.
Jonathan Winters did this whole, he was like Robin Williams. For people who don't know who Jonathan Winters was, he was like Robin Williams before Robin Williams. So he would do these impressions and he had this like shocking ability to take on facial construction and attitudes and voices. And he did this like really incredible stuff. And he had kind of semi-political commentary as well. And one of the things that was really amazing, I had this cassette tape, literally a cassette tape from the 80s. And it was Jonathan Winters' presentations doing comedy from maybe the 70s, but maybe the 60s. I don't know. It was not new. It was old. It sounded old. And he did a whole thing, Joe, about farmers who were paid to leave their fields fallow and what the government man would come and do and how weird it was to be a farmer that wasn't allowed to grow cauliflower. So he said he felt guilty about not having cauliflower in his big field. So he used some of the government money to buy plastic cauliflower and just put him in the rows there to make it look like he was growing cauliflower. And like this whole shtick, it's absolutely hilarious. Number one, if you have kind of a sense of humor that can handle kind of the quiet and older, dry humor.
Yeah.
But he's out there talking about this stuff. This has been going on for 50, 60 years where, the crazy thing that if you think about it today, that's what communism does. Centrally planned economies are the government tells you what we're going to grow, how we're going to grow it, what we're going to produce, how often, at what price point you're going to be able to sell it. That's exactly what I thought we fought the Cold War over. And he was doing that right in the middle of the Cold War, because we just picked up the stuff. We looked at Russia and we weren't like, oh, we can't do those things. We looked at the Soviet Union. We were like, how do we do those things better and sell it to these people and tell them they're free? How do we do the intelligence and surveillance state? The stuff that we have for surveillance today would make the KGB blush. Our capabilities are shockingly better. And we sold it not because we had the government come in and mandate it. We did it right here. Look, we said, we can give you this capability right here. And all you got to do is sign our terms of service, which says we're going to monitor how you walk, sleep, how you sound. We're going to keep every track of everything. God knows what's in your terms of service. I do it too, so I'm not like not guilty of it. But we've ceded freedom for just minor convenience, and then we've ignored that we've given this stuff away. And it's been going on forever. It's been going on since before my life and before yours.
So let me give you some interesting information about the CRP, which is the Conservation Reserve Program. So this was started, and I was doing some reading on this before. So it's funny it came up during this, because we start looking at how you can become a controlled society, and we look at books that were written going all the way back to 2000 BC, right? 3000 BC. I mean, the Ming Dynasty and all the different things that, like, this is not a new phenomenon, okay?
No, controlling the masses is like, that's what
it's necessary.
That's what government does.
They see it as necessary. Mm-hmm. They see it as necessary, right? Mm-hmm. It becomes, and by the way, there's a power struggle that happens in this where it starts to attack people, and then those people start gathering other people, and then in every one of these societies, the people like the judges and the legislators, everything else, they become the targets, right? And when you get close, which by the way, we're on the knife's edge right now. I'm just going to tell you right now, knife's edge, because you can see it. The people that killed the guy that killed two sitting state senators up in Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
He was a nutball. That's going to become more prevalent as people start to decide that the betrayal that they have and the fact that they have no hope becomes more legendary. It becomes more the norm rather than not.
I used to get messages, Joe, from my buddies who are GWAT vets, and some of them are in federal law enforcement, and they're like, this is when Biden was president, and they're like, I cannot believe that somebody has not, some dude who lost friends, whose life has never been the same, maybe lost a limb and just thinks they have nothing to live for, that somebody didn't go and take out Joe Biden while he was president, because the idea of that is really palatable to somebody who's already given up on everything else. And the fact that that didn't happen is kind of like by the grace of God only, because as soon as that black space is allowed into the norm, mm-hmm. If Donald Trump gets shot and dies at Butler, PA, where we're like, oh, now we just assassinate people that are a problem politically because we didn't like what he had to say, we go ahead and put a bullet in. They did that in this country at one point. We've done that historically. People have done it. It's a harbinger of such a scary and awful time. But I'm with you. I think it's going to become a thing. It just depends on who's going to break that glass pane and when.
And here's the thing: good people will get to that place faster than bad people. I just want you to understand that. Bad people. See, and I want to get back to the CRP stuff, because I think it's super important that people understand facts, right? Because we walk past facts as if we're standing still, and it's light years ahead of us, right? Good people have to make a conscious decision of what they're going to do before it's done, right? I could ask you a question. Kyle, somebody breaks into your house, kids are upstairs, what are you going to do? You've already made the decision. You've already gone through all the steps that are necessary in order to good, bad, right, wrong, take a life, don't take a life. The decision's already made, mm-hmm. right? Bad people are cowards. They're typically cowards. They're typically people who are self-serving, seething individuals that frankly, they lack a chromosome or two, right? They lack any sort of foundation, character, right? They do. I mean, just look at it. I mean, this is, by the way, go read any book. Go read any book on character or psychology. Bad people are just bad, right? They're inherently either psychopaths or sociopaths. It doesn't matter. They're narcissistics, very focused on one thing. And they're less likely to make that decision because they're still afraid of their own self-preservation. Good people are not afraid of self-preservation. They're just not. The vast majority of them make those decisions. Now, there's a limit to it, but you have no limit. I have no limit, right? I've already set the limit so far out there that, come daddy, right? This is why people make good soldiers, so they don't, right? And good soldiers typically don't make it in the real world of politics because it's consumed by weak, self-absorbed people that can be controlled.
We're talking about the difference between having principle that is fixed and immutable and people that are operationally moral.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if the ends justify the means, and this particular action, which may be immoral, unscrupulous, unethical, etc., maybe illegal, if that's beneficial to my outcomes, then I'll just take that risk because that's good for me right now. People that are like, oh, I just don't do things that are evil or bad, or the alternative is like I always do things that are evil or bad. So there's some people that are like that too. But the people that are just making decisions on any moment, like how does this affect me and my goals? And they've never thought, like, what's the implication for society if they all were to do this? My mom used to always do this when I would throw gum out the window. You're driving.
You'd have all gum everywhere.
Yeah, what would happen if everybody did that, right? And the answer is actually it wouldn't really matter because even if everybody did it, like there's not enough gum that people are chewing. It's so small and there's so much land along the highway that even if every single person who drove on that highway every day threw gum out, it probably wouldn't matter. So her example was bad. But if you did something more aggressive in a more small area, you could understand that if you apply this, Jordan Peterson used to talk about this, if you don't look at the implications of your decisions, not just on yourself, but on your future self, not just on what happens to you today, but what happens to your children today, and then your children in the future, and then their society around them and all the friends. If you can't like look at the layers and be like, well, there's a reason why we have rules of what's right and wrong. Like they're sort of established that if we all play by the same rules, then everybody gets to do better. And if you're only interested in yourself, people always, I've had people go like, well, how do some of these dirt bags get ahead? They get ahead because they're not playing by the rules that other people have decided. You've decided, Joe, that
right.
I'm not going to give up somebody, even if they're ideologically different than me, even if they're kind of a turd. I'm not gonna violate my principles because there's my principles that has nothing to do with that person. You and I have had this conversation a number of times now, but it's always the same. The simplest answer is like, Joe, why won't you sell out somebody who is a dirtbag? And it's because it has nothing to do with the dirtbag. It has to do with you because you said you wouldn't.
That's the whole thing with the Antifa kid. Like, I don't think the kid's probably
that's exactly
moral,
it,
right? But I think he could get there, and I don't have a right to give. I mean, Antifa's killing people all over the world.
Yeah,
right?
but it's not about him. It's about you.
Right.
The decision is that you said something, and so you're going to hold to it. And so that's what you evaluate yourself based on. I said something. My word means something to me, regardless of whether anyone else cares.
Yeah.
If this is my favorite thing when people will accuse, any of us, and you and I are in the online space far too much, but if somebody were to accuse you like, oh, you're a bad actor, or you're a disinformation op, or you're doing this, it's like, look, if I wanted to do things that were immoral, unethical, or illegal, I just would have sat in my old job, collected a paycheck, a pension, had health insurance, lived in my beautiful house in New Mexico, and you never would have heard from me. I already made a decision that I'm not going to do things. If you tell me to do stuff that I'm not going to do, I won't do them. So I don't care. You know how many emails I've gotten of people saying like, hey, can we pay you to promote this thing or do this like immoral thing? Like 3. That was it. Because each time I was like, go F yourself. And at the end of it, nobody wants to go after the person. Nobody looks at me and goes like, hey, maybe I can buy Kyle Seraphin. You could probably buy yourself you could probably buy an exposure. Same story with you. Somebody reaches out to you. Hey, Joe, will you do this morally compromising thing? It's like, no, but I'll publish the fact that you asked me. Don't ever do that again.
I would do that. I mean,
I know.
That's what makes that's what makes me dangerous because, and it just makes me dangerous because I could never be I'll use the Steve Bannons of the world. I'll use that as an example. I could never ever associate with a guy like Steve Bannon because I don't like pedophile protectors or people that try to rehabilitate somebody's character after they've screwed a child, right? So I'm out like that. You're off the island. And I think in Washington, when we start looking at what's happening in Washington and why people do certain things, I think I woke up this morning and I was like, I think I get it. I think I get it. And I sent this to you yesterday when I issued an apology because I found out some information. I don't want to get into that just yet because I want to talk about the Kash deal. But I got it because I was apologizing for something I said in that frankly I found out information that was more accurate And now I have to make sure that I address what I said and what I found out, hoping that he uses that information in such a way that it actually leads to a better outcome for our elections in our country, right? So two things can be true at the same time, but I said something that I knew now couldn't be true, so I had to apologize. And people in Washington don't have that same sort of thing, right? And then, but I kept thinking in my head, well, who am I betraying by saying that I know this information now? And then I start going through the things, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to. I have loyalty to truth and to people who I know are truthful characters, truthful people. And so by saying this, am I then giving up? My brain went into this place where it was swirling. I was literally swirling. And I'm thinking, I just want to issue an apology. So fuck it, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just hoping that that's enough of a signal to say, okay, I know what you saw because I saw it 4 years ago. And I know that if you have that information, you know that with it, then I can then come to the same conclusion that I've always come to, right? Does that make sense?
Mostly.
People in Washington don't get that. They're just self-serving.
They're transactional.
Yes.
They're transactional.
Yes.
It's the
But
reason
everything's
why.
like, don't move the thing, right?
Well, from my experience of it, it's like, how do you benefit me? And if I got to screw you over, despite asking for your honesty and your loyalty, and that you're going to, give some support. Somebody sent me something the other day, and they're like, this was happening last night, maybe. And my little brother, who doesn't speak to me but is willing to interact with me on Twitter, which was really gross. I just sent him a tweet yesterday, and I was like, hey, dude. I said, hey, little brother, if you want to talk, why don't you call me? This is my younger brother. He's an okay guy, and he lives 2 hours away from me, Joe, and he's never met two of my children. And he might not have met any of my children, as far as I know. I can't actually remember if he met them, but I think he might have met one or two of them. But he certainly hasn't met the younger two. And my one is 2 years old, and my son is almost 5. He'll be 5 in a couple of days. So 5 years, never seen his uncle, who's 2 hours away, because his uncle doesn't care, and he's a really cool little kid. He's worth driving 2 hours.
Your girls are.
All my kids are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I mean, I'm biased because I'm their dad, but like, I have some pretty cool little kids. So all that is to say, this conversation struck up, my brother getting involved by being a turd, and then this other guy pops in and he says, who recommended someone like Kash Patel? And I'll own the part where I said, yeah, I kind of supported him. Like, who recommended him to Donald Trump? Well, it wasn't me, because Donald Trump doesn't care what I have to say. He doesn't know who I am. I've never spoken to Donald Trump. Maybe he does, but I've never spoken to him. So there's no one-to-one Kyle Seraphin says it, Donald Trump hears it. I didn't text the man, right? I don't have that. Maybe people around him have. But what I think happened is Kash Patel recommended Kash Patel to Donald Trump. And that's what I remember being part of. And then the more I think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, I supported his request. I backed his play. I gave him information. I took the things that he said to me in good faith and said, you're saying the right things. And if those are the things that you believe and I also believe them, then that's the way that things need to go. So like, yeah, I'm behind all those things. So you get whatever support I can do. I'll call people. I'll ask police officers to give you an endorsement. I'm willing to, to show up to places if that's what needs to be done. And my friends are going to come out and support you and say things like, we went to bat for somebody. And the funny difference between him and me is that if I asked you for your support, Joe, when you gave it to me, then I would feel like I owed you a debt of whatever it was, because
loyalty to what's right, because
I asked you for something. So at the very least, if we had to part ways, you did something immoral, maybe I was going to do something that I thought was going to be very different to what our agreement was, I'd at least do you the kindness of calling up and saying, look, here's what's going on. This is the situation. This is the direction I'm going to go. I want to let you know. I've asked you to be with me previously. I understand if you can't be, but I'm at least going to tell you before it happens, because that's what an honorable person would do. I would make that call.
And when I issued a apology to Kash yesterday, I picked up the phone and I called you. Right?
Yeah, well, that didn't affect me. That didn't affect me one way or another. I mean, you can issue apologies.
But my point is
your
that
apology for whatever you said doesn't betray me, though. But yes,
it wasn't a matter of betrayal. It was a matter of equally yoked and understanding we've had large conversations, and I can't go against the character of who I am. So I can have a disagreement on how they treat my brother Kyle, and still say that, hey, I found out something that makes this something that I should probably retract. and I should retract it in such a way that now I understand, right?
You can do that, yeah.
But
Didn't hurt my feelings.
I think that's the difference between me and most people. I'm just not afraid. I'm not afraid to apologize.
Well, you and I are talking about knowing the difference between what's right and wrong. Great example. I had a moment, and I think I've shared this with you, but I had a moment when I'm sitting in a hotel room in Dallas, Texas, and I missed my flight to go to Miami, and it's September of 2022, and I'm indefinitely suspended from the FBI. I just left the closing table the day before, like that day, I guess. Sold my house. My kids are homeless. They're going to go live with my parents, and my wife is driving to Arizona, and I'm on a flight out of El Paso where my truck sits when I got no home to come back to, and I flew to Dallas, and I'm waiting there to fly to go talk to Dan Bongino for the first time. And while I'm sitting in this hotel room, and it's late at night, and I'm exhausted, and I'm going through a lot of stuff because I don't have a home anymore for my kids, and like I don't know what my future looks like, and I'm about to do the first public interview that I ever was going to do, and I'm probably on the way of getting COVID at the time because I was feeling like dog shit. And I get this phone call, and it's from people at Project Veritas, and they're like, "Hey, James O'Keefe is going to call you. He wants you to cancel the trip to go speak to Bongino and speak to him instead, and he's going to help you raise a bunch of money, and we're going to champion your cause, and we're going to make it a huge big deal. Whistleblower revealed. Cancel the trip to go see Dan Bongino and do his podcast."
You didn't cancel it.
Of course not.
not
And the
who
funny
you
thing
are.
is this: it's not who I am. That's exactly right. And I said I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in right now if I was the kind of person who was willing to have a transactional relationship with truth or my own sort of thing. If I give somebody my word and I say, "Hey, I'll be there," and then I get on a plane, and even though it takes a lot longer to get there, and I should have been there the night before, and it was really inconvenient, like my agreement was, I'm going to go do this thing, and I'm going to go see it through. And so I did. Now, would it have been more like Dan Bongino never raised a penny for me, not a single penny, never offered to. It was never about any money about that, right? And I was in a spot that was pretty bad because I went for 14 months with no paycheck, and I'm not independently wealthy, as my dad used to say. So that would have been a big deal per se. It could have been a big deal to have somebody do a fundraiser and raise $500,000, whatever it is that O'Keefe could have pulled off. And he probably could have pulled off a lot of money, but it had nothing to do with the calculus because it was real simple. It's like I told someone I was going to be somewhere. I accepted their invitation. I took their plane ticket, and I said, I'm coming out, and I'm not quitting. I'm going to finish it out on the other end. If you want to talk on the other end of that for something, great. But it's non-negotiable. And I know that there are people in our government that do not have that mentality because I've experienced it, where they got a better offer, whatever that offer was, and they never thought to even call a you or a me or somebody else or some other person who's probably experienced this that's listening. They never once called. They never said, "Hey, by the way, we're going to do something different and just want to let you know that it's happening," or "Let me tell you why." They could do that if they wanted. That's not how they work. They looked out for themselves. And so we're in a situation where we've got a whole body of 435 people where maybe like a dozen of them have honor, maybe. And a lot of them just signed up and they were like, I signed up to be a congressperson, and that means that I am going to get all the things that a congressperson gets. And maybe that involves, insider trading, and maybe it means my family is generationally wealthy, and at the cost of screwing over the American people that I'm supposed to represent, and more importantly, screwing over this country, which is slowly just drifting downhill at faster and faster speeds. And nobody seems willing to not forget putting the brake. We're supposed to be doing a U-turn, and nobody's doing that. Like, we haven't even started the clock on the reforms that you're talking about, so we could even have an election that actually means something.
Yeah, no, and we haven't, which is why I there's two things that I look at when I look at government. One, I know it's very complicated, but I also know it's not complicated at all. And the things that President Trump has been able to do that are not complicated, where he could swift his pen, he knows that someone like Phil Weiser, the AG of Colorado, is going to have 50 plus lawsuits against President Trump on those executive orders, right? And we have been running this country by edict. Republicans make it happen, right, by not going against them, and the Democrats have owned the establishment to make sure they could block the executive authority of the president to ensure what the American people want, right?
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's sadder than that. Hear this out. Tell me what you think. I had a couple of people on the political left tell me they agreed with this thing. The MAGA movement as it stands, of which I was never a part of, but I'm MAGA adjacent, I'm sure, because we share a lot of the same. The actual people that represent those letters, they want probably the same. They want more like what I want, right? They have similar attitudes, just like the people that you talk to at a convention full of Democrats probably have similar things. They want to see their kids successful. They want housing to be something that they can, hope that their kids will be able to buy one day. All this kind of stuff, and I think that the actual people who run that movement, the politicians that are doing it, the people that are steering it from the chief of staff level, from the strategist level, the PR firms and all that stuff, I think they want to be an opposition party. They don't want to be a party that has power. They don't want to be in a position to actually have to carry out the things. They'd much rather talk about it and say, look how bad the other team is, because the minute that you get power, that means that there's also, you have to wield it. And that's been an age-old thing that we hear at Republicans. Republicans get into power, and that's assuming that we believe, and this actually solidifies your argument that there are no real elections. Because what's the difference? Outside of a secured border, you get nominal wins on either side that basically shade around the margins, but the status quo is essentially the same as it was a couple years ago.
It's incrementalism, still incrementalism.
Yeah, and we have the biggest spending that's ever happened. Like Donald Trump is now responsible for the most expensive federal budget ever. And the minor win was we don't have a $200 tax stamp on suppressors, and we were going to get rid of the IRS, Joe, but we didn't. Instead, what we did is we got a bunch of tax money for tariffs, but also still F you and fist you with the IRS. It's like, come on.
I mean, this also gets to, in Colorado went from $12.4 billion to $44 billion just over an 8-year period of time.
You're talking about the state budget?
State budget, right? So
they're all like that too, though. Oh, yeah.
But this is what happens when you have very weak, stupid people that are controlled by someone above it that's saying, hey, you're going to do this, this, and this. And they're like, and they're all walking, and special interest and everyone's are handing them the bags of money because that's what the cartel does, right? But I'm going to show you how far it goes back, though, because this is where you really have to start looking at it. And then I want to show you what Chuck Schumer says and Janelle Bynum says about President Trump, because it's dog whistle, dog whistle. But I was talking to you about the CRP, right? Mm-hmm. It's from 1985. Okay. Republicans put that in play in 1985. And it was established by the Food Security Act of 1985. Now, let me just tell you what it does. It takes land that is fertile land, and it pays the farmers and landowners a rent payment not to grow food. So let me just tell you what it was called again. It was called the Food Security Act of 1985.
Yep.
So you're securing food.
Yep.
And then you go over here and you're like, this is when they figured out people were stupid. And they're like, okay, you're not going to grow any crops on that land, and I'm going to pay you welfare not to actually secure food. And then I'm going to walk over here to Ukraine and to different countries, and I'm going to say, hey, you got any food for us? Because we're out of food. And then they use TRQs, right? The quantitative ability to control imports and exports of things like sugar and grains and everything else. And they're like, hey, but you can send in this much, give it to me. While basically shutting down and killing commerce. They did it with steel. They did it with food. They've done it with drugs. They've done it with commerce, just base commerce. They've done it with manufacturing. They've done all of it, right? It wasn't the Democrats that actually did it. It was a uniparty system that was put in place to destroy everything we stand for. And so as we start bringing this stuff back, I'm going to tell you what, I think that the left thinks that they're going to win because incrementalism is what's in charge right now, which is we're no matter what you do to take
everything moves left. It all moves left.
It all is moving left. And the only way to stop it is revolution.
Look at the number of sodomites that are sitting in the Republican Party right now, and that is considered normal. That we have a Treasury Secretary that's quote unquote married to a man and has babies that were created in some surrogate situation, which is crazy. There's nothing conservative about that. There's nothing even like remotely like all of that is weird and gross. It's sexual deviancy, but that's where today's GOP is, and they're like, well, he's financially really brilliant, and maybe he is. And guess what? He used to work for George Soros for 20 years, our Treasury Secretary. And so you go like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds like a great. That's the kind of person I want. I want someone that has no scruples and works for people that you've literally said was evil. And so when we talk about there being no right wing in this country, which is where I the more I look into it, the more obvious it becomes. 1986, we had a firearm. Remember, it was the Gun Owners Protection Act, right? And what are they doing there? They put a Hughes Amendment in that made machine guns illegal.
Yeah.
So that was protecting gun owners from being able to own machine guns. It's the same as the Food Security Act that decides to protect you from actually having food. Okay.
Yeah.
All of these things are named, and you know where the crazy piece is, and I think this makes sense. If the states were actually looking at this stuff and thinking, is it better for our state to not grow food, to not have products grown here and have farmers just receive money from the federal government? There's no way the states say that. But the funny thing is the people might say that it's good. Individually, it's good for them, but it's bad for the states. We used to have a balance. You talked about 1913. We'll just say it one more time for people. In 1913, two significant constitutional amendments radically changed this country to the point where it is not the same constitutional republic that it was for the time prior. One of them was the 16th Amendment, and it gave the federal government the ability to levy income taxes. You know what I didn't know, Joe? I didn't previously know. Do you know why the 16th Amendment, how it was pitched to the American people to ratify it? Because that's actually pretty wild.
No, that I don't know. Yeah.
So you'd be like, how in the hell did they get people to agree to pass an income tax on themselves? Because a lot of people are not going to do that. They did it the same way they get everybody to pass a tax. They convince you that it's not going to be a tax on you. And so the way that the 16th Amendment was actually put through was there were
employees.
No. There were multiple court cases, Supreme Court cases, that said that it's unconstitutional for the federal government to levy taxes on individual income, going after high net worth individuals. They wanted to go after the high income people in the United States. And they used the thing that the devil always uses, which is envy and greed, avarice, whatever, right? Pride. And they looked over and they said, these people have more than you. Why don't we we want to be able to tax the wealthy. So the messaging that went out at that time for the 16th Amendment was about a tax structure that was going to be able to tax the rich to be able to pay their fair share. And the end result is that people who are in the middle class are wage slaves, and the first fruits of every single one of their paycheck gets picked over by first the federal income tax, and then it gets hit with Medicare taxes, and then it gets hit with Social Security taxes. So 3 birds take a peck at your stuff before you ever get to touch it. And Americans voted that on themselves because they wanted to make sure that the quote unquote rich were going to pay their fair share. It's the same communistic bullshit that says we should make sure that these fields stay fallow so we can have the right amount of product and not too much and not too little. Instead of everybody just grows everything they can. If the market price drops, so be it. Then that just means that everybody gets to buy a product for cheaper.
Right.
So that was central government. And then the second thing is the 17th Amendment broke the country when it came to democratizing, which is the other thing that you hear the left constantly say. More democracy equals better. More that people's voices are represented equals better. Well, they did that by saying, shouldn't you be able to elect your own senator? And it's like saying, imagine this. For me, turning the Senate into what it is, a direct elected body that is elected by members of your, like individuals elect their own senators. So if people don't know, prior to 1913, the way they were appointed, and they were appointed by the state legislature. So the legislature would be voted on by you, and then whatever the majority of the people that were in there would be able to actually vote, and then they would be able to appoint whoever their senator is. So if you have a 40-60 split, a Democrat Republican, and you have Republicans have 60% of your state houses, then they can give you a Republican. That's who you're going to get. You're probably going to get 2 Republicans every whatever it is, either 2 or 4 years. You're going to get that. So that's kind of interesting. What they did is they say, well, shouldn't you have a say in that? And the answer is like, no, you shouldn't, because it's the equivalent of going, this is a Mercedes dealership, sir. And what we have here are highly specialized people that do service on Mercedes-Benz automobiles. And you're like, well, that seems good if I have a Mercedes. And they came in and voted and said, but shouldn't they just be generalized mechanics? Shouldn't we just turn it into a Jiffy Lube so everybody can go there? And people will like, well, I don't have a Mercedes. So I would like to have an oil change station. Let's get a Jiffy Lube. And you turned this elitist body, which is what it was meant to be, a filtered body that was supposed to take the concentration of what the power that was best for the states, not best for the people, not best for the individual, but it was supposed to represent the state legislatures. And instead, now we have 2 populist bodies. One of them is smaller and one of them is bigger, and both of them are retarded because we've broken it.
Well, because you have stolen elections. They've been doing it for decades, which is how you get to a degraded society. So societies don't degrade over time if you have free and fair elections. They just don't, right? And everywhere you turn in history, if you go back and look at it, no matter where it is, it's stolen elections or this cartel environment that lead to what we have right now happening in our country.
Isn't it wild that they both the election machines and the hanging chads and all that kind of crap that I recall from like probably the first election that I was able to vote in, like that happened at the same time that 9/11 happened and the surveillance state kicked up, and they were like, hey, also we should introduce all these crazy things. And now you can go to what is it called? Unflock Me. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
You can go find out that there are like hundreds of thousands of cameras all over the United States that are constantly being monitored by like law enforcement and intel apparatus.
I might have something to do with the unflocking.
Yeah, no big deal.
I might be in the middle of all that. So
I mean, isn't it crazy though that we've gone from a place where the question was like, people, Joe, when you were a kid, you're a little bit older than me, but when you were a kid, people could walk out their front door with nothing but a wad of cash in their pocket, leave their ID behind, and become someone new.
They did.
Like people just disappeared.
Yeah,
They
by the thousands.
So I'm watching Highway to Heaven right now.
Yeah.
You remember Highway to Heaven?
Oh yeah.
Michael Landon.
Oh yeah.
And he's an angel. He's just a guy. He's just walking around like in the world, and he just walks into a place and he's got like a newspaper, and they go like one of the opening episode, right? It's really great. He walks in with this newspaper, wanted ads, and it's not supposed to be run till tomorrow, but he has an advanced copy because he's an angel. And the guy goes, "What are you here for?" And he goes, "I'm here for the maintenance man job." And they go, "Well, what's your name, sir?" And he goes, "I'm Jonathan Smith. No jokes, please." And the guy goes, "Okay, Jonathan, I'm going to need some references about your past jobs." And he goes, "Sir, did you used to have a different maintenance man than me?" And he goes, "Well, yes, I did." And he goes, "Did he have references?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, he did." And he goes, "Where is he now, sir?" And he goes, "Well, I had to fire him. He was a lazy shit, And he goes, "Sounds like those references aren't that useful." And the guy goes, "Oh." It's freaking brilliant, right? Like that would get a further interview. And he goes, "I'll do the job for the first whatever it was, week or month or whatever for free. And if you like my work, then you can start paying me. How can you lose?" And the guy goes, "Amazing, like you're hired or whatever, but I'm gonna hold you to that," or something like this. And like that was 1988. I think they made that show. I think that's when it launched. Yeah. It's like people just walking off the street with a freaking newspaper, no references, no paperwork, and you're gonna get a job. And like, yeah, it's TV. But people walked off with nothing. And today, we're looking at where was your cell phone and when was your last internet login and like when did your pacemaker last ping on your freaking Wi-Fi in your house? You know what I mean? Like we're looking at this woman who disappeared. This old lady disappeared in Arizona. God rest her soul. She just disappeared. They used to disappear. People used to just disappear all the time.
Yeah, but by the way, there's like 600 people a day that disappear in the United States a day.
It still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. The difference is
why
if we wanted to find
it,
because it's convenient. But if we wanted to find somebody, I mean, this one person who's getting all the Fox News coverage also happens to have, like a daughter who can offer a $1 million reward. So that's salacious and interesting. There's plenty of people that disappear every day, some on purpose because they just want to walk away, but it's not nearly as easy as it is. It'd be hard for you to walk away and disappear.
Oh, I couldn't walk away and disappear.
You could or couldn't.
I could not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right, so I want to. We only have 20 minutes left because I got to go have a meeting and I got to clean up early.
Are you big timing me? Is that
what? I'll tell you what happened. You're going to be really excited about it because it actually does affect you, and the southwestern expansion of my stuff.
Gun Empire. Call it Gun Empire.
Gun Empire.
We have that. Good.
So I want Chuck Schumer. After what President Trump said, getting into the State of the Union, and by the way, I think people need to understand what we're saying about all the rest of this stuff. But Chuck Schumer afterwards, that little weasel, they all look the same, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. He defends the Democrats' choice to remain seated, and he disagreed with Trump's thoughts on the government, has a greater duty to its citizens than to migrants. This is telling. This tells you everything you need to know about what these people think of you. Play it.
Just is it what
He
did
should
you
be
think when
ashamed
he
of
asked him to
himself.
stand?
Bottom line is very simple. We agree we need to protect Americans. He's not. By his reckless ICE agency in Minnesota, 2 Americans were killed. Americans are being pulled out of their cars and beaten. Americans' houses, the doors are being knocked down, without a warrant. And no other police department in America, run by Americans, has done what ICE has done. So yes, we want to protect Americans. He's not doing it, and that's why the American people are against what ICE is doing. So it was legitimate and right not to stand.
I got one for you, Joe. You ready?
Yeah.
You're against abortion, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah. What about in cases of rape or incest, Joe? Let me ask you about that. How do you? Yeah, of course. But just that's the game, right? It's like, do you think that men can magically become women?
No.
What about hermaphrodites, Joe? What about hermaphrodites? Some people are actually born with 2 sets of genitals. I mean,
Well,
you're
I mean, I
basically
think-
he's trying to prove the rule with the exception. And they do this every single time, and they hone in, and like completely low information human beings will listen to Chuck Schumer and they'll be like, that's horrible. I am emotional about what this thing is. I'm so upset that ICE has kicked down the wrong door. It's like, number one, was it the wrong door? You don't even know what they were doing. And maybe they did. And if they did, you know what? It's not a high percentage of what they do. So should we be talking about cleaning it up? And does that keep you in your seat when someone says, is your duty to the American people or the illegal alien? And then you're like, I did the right thing. Why? Because these ridiculous, because rape in case of incest. That's what they're talking about.
Well, this is where it gets, and for me, it just goes further into the fact that he used his time to actually say, of course we care about the American people, but anything that comes before but is bullshit. Okay? The second you use the word but, you're just disallowing everything that comes before it because you're going to make an excuse on why that doesn't matter. Right? So the American people do not matter to these people. And they're saying the quiet part out loud. In my opinion, I always look at the totality, because I don't always feel like the Republicans are on the right side of things.
I mean, yeah, can we cut fairly and just say Chuck Schumer says what all of them are thinking out loud, and the other side's job is to tell us the opposite, but they still behave the same way? Like, they all behave the same way? So
Same way. When you and I when you and I are still talking about kabuki theater, it's not kabuki theater. It's not really kabuki theater. It's freaking WWF. This is kayfabe. This is Joe is the good guy and I'm the jobber, and so my job is to come in and be working on as a henchman for some supervillain, and Joe's going to knock me down, and that's what he's got to do to get through to the big bad guy or whatever. It's like, this is scripted. It's a scripted crap. It's controlled oppo. It's Chuck Schumer says the thing that we all think is terrible, that the America-hating leftists say, yay, and then the other side says the opposite, and at the same time, they do nothing different. So how about we just judge them by their fruits? And the fruits of both sides are shit. They're terrible fruit. They're rotted. And they just so
that's why I'm not excited about the State of the Union. So that's why I disagreed with you up front, because I don't think any of them are serious. And that means Donald Trump too. Donald Trump can't unilaterally fix this. And he's not pointing out the real problem. It's like talking about the symptom. You're like, look at that scab. And I'm like, how about you stop cutting yourself? Forget about the scab, man. Let's take the knife out of the hand, because you have knives that are cutting open your skin and they're healing over and they're creating the scabs. We're looking so far downstream to the consequence of the symptoms as opposed to the symptoms or even the disease.
Well, this is where I always say you have to work the problem, not the symptoms. And if you work the symptoms, it can stay around forever, right? So I want to say this. This is Janelle Bynum. I just want you to know you're a racist. Let's go ahead and play it.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
What's that guy's name? His name is like Shiri Thandadar.
Super retardo.
He's 71 years old. He's been in the United States longer than I've been alive. He came here in 1979 to get a PhD, and he sounds like a freaking cartoon of a foreigner in like an exaggerated 1980s, still acceptable to have a little bit of like semi-racist attitude. He sounds like a cartoon Indian person, and he's a representative in Congress. So miss me with the racist bullshit stuff. When these women say that, I'm just like, look, here's what you've proven to me. You're too emotional to make decisions. There's a reason why this country was founded with only certain people making decisions, and you weren't one of them. And by the way, at this point, I wouldn't be one of them either, and I would still vote to go back to that. If they're like, hey, you don't own land, you can't be a voter, I'd be like, that's fine. That's pretty fair. I rent right now. I don't need to be making decisions because my skin in the game is lower. I'm going to assume the person that owns the property that I'm renting is going to look out for the best interest of him, which actually does trickle down to the best interest of the property that I'm in. So I'm okay with that. And when I own land again, if I do, which I expect I will at some point, then it'll be like, fine, now I've earned my right to get back in there. Whether it's people who pay a positive amount in federal taxes, which I don't even think we should have. I'd like to see actual Donald Trump promises come through. That'd be great. But since we don't have that, if you don't have a net skin in the game by writing a positive check, or you haven't over the majority of your life, like there's people that are not paying a net in positive federal taxes, but they paid a ton over the years and now their income's lower. I get it. But honest to God, if you're a person who spent your whole life earning a living, paying taxes, and then you get to the point where you're you're now a net recipient because you're retired and you moved on from that, isn't it actually kind of okay to think that the people who are putting all the money in should have all the say on it? They're not going to like screw you over. They're going to make the same types of decisions you would have, because if you put the group of people that have the principle that should be making those decisions, or we can let this idiot woman, who, what are her qualifications to be there? And based on what she said, she's not a logical thinker. She's an emotional, she's an emotional exception. So she's out there saying things that work well for some, I don't know who votes for that. People who feel guilty? Like, seriously, who votes for that?
I think that gets down to the point where if you don't have free and fair elections and you elect people to put themselves in a position to take more meat off the bone, you're letting the machine self-perpetuate itself, self-feed itself.
Yeah, it's the self-licking ice cream cone is what we call it in DC. And so anybody who's ever seen that, you can go look up. If you type in self-licking ice cream cone, you'll see Washington, DC. It's an ice cream cone that doesn't need you. The only purpose of the ice cream cone, Joe, is to serve your interest in having a frozen, tasty dessert. Like, that's the purpose of it. It's a hot day. I'm hot. I want something sweet and cold. I will buy ice cream. And imagine if that ice cream was like, thanks, not interested. I'm going to just sit here and lick myself all day long. Yeah. You go, well, what do we need you for? Why am I buying you? I won't.
Yeah. Well, and you don't really need to. But I mean, look, at the same time, we start talking about the structure of government. You could cut off 80% of it, like you said, and nobody would ever even look up, right? You wouldn't look up and see
Nobody would know. They do this all the time. They have these shutdowns. I've lived through several of them. I was in the federal government when they did. You drive into work, the only thing, some people would notice. You know what it is?
Traffic.
If you shut off 80%, the traffic in DC becomes totally bearable. It becomes really, really decent to drive there. It becomes kind of a nice place to go. Parking is available because all the people that don't need to be there, that don't just show up to the nail room. You know what the nail room is?
The mail room?
No, the nail room.
No.
The nail room is the room where the ladies who should be sending the mail and receiving it and delivering it to your desk are sitting and painting their nails because they're federal employees and they don't actually do the job that they're paid to do. They just hang out there and do their nails. That's the nail room.
It's a real thing, too.
It's a real thing at the top floor of the FBI's Washington field office, and I saw it in many other federal agencies when I ran around D.C. for 5 years. The nail room is a thing. And by the way, the same woman works in all of them. They all work the same. I can describe that woman down to a T, what she looks like. And it's really frustrating. It's like, get out. Why am I paying for you to exist? If you didn't show up to work, everything would be fine. I would still have to mail my own FedEx. I still would. I still would have to hunt all over the office to figure out where the boxes are because she doesn't know where they are. I'd still have to go find the labels myself, and I'd still have to email my boss and find out what the account number is that we use. I mean, all of that would still happen with or without freaking Tanya hanging out there doing nothing. When are we going to get those election machines removed? When's that happen?
We're working on that now.
Who do we need to slay?
I only have 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
And before I have to go, I almost want to feel like just turning the show over to you so you can just keep talking about this stuff.
Don't do it.
Are you homeschool your children, obviously, but let's say that you had to put them in school. What's your biggest fear?
Going to prison.
Okay, but besides going to prison, what's your biggest fear for your children going into?
No, I think it would be I would have to go to prison because they'd be indoctrinated with some radical leftist ideology that would result inevitably in me physically taking it out on that teacher, which would involve me going to prison. I mean, that's literally the reason I told people when I was in New Mexico. I don't want to end up going to prison for skinning some teacher that decides to teach my kids some crazy gender ideology, some satanic bullshit. I don't want them putting whatever their crazy ideology is into my little pristine hard drives that I am indoctrinating in traditional values that, by the way, will have the best outcome for them. Every one of my kids, even my 2-year-old daughter, talks about when she's a mom. When, not if.
That should be...
That's the standard for all of humanity. Yes. That's the standard for humankind for all of existence. It's never been a, well, like when you have a career, my girls are 8, 7, and 2. And in their mind, they may do some work. And I assume that they'll probably have some functional skills in the world too, beyond being mothers. But I think they already know that the calling that we believe is the most valuable is for them to go and raise children. And the reason they know that is because their mother has advanced degrees and is very bright and is highly talented in a bunch of things, and she spends her entire existence focusing on them and their education and their nutrition and their happiness and their safety. Like, that's what my wife does full time, whether it's 2 a.m. last night when we both woke up because we've got a sick 2-year-old, or whether it's like 6 a.m. when she rolls out of bed or I roll out of bed because I'm doing the podcast and she's already up making breakfast and slinging eggs, and she, grinds the flour because she doesn't believe in the food process that we have, and she wants to make sure they have wholesome meals, and she's, baking bread and toast. I mean, Joe, my wife is milling her own flour that she's been sourcing from organic sources because she doesn't trust the food supply. Yep. She's making everything she can, from noodles to breads to our own croutons. She was telling me, she's like, I want a bread maker. And I'm like, you make bread fine. She was like, no, I want to make yogurt in it from the milk. And I'm like, you make yogurt in a bread maker? And she's like, yeah, there's all these other things. So she wants to take the dairy part of it in. She'd make her own butter if she could. If we had a cow, I probably, when that's a possibility, we're going to go so far up the stream that it's just whatever we grow on the earth. And I don't have that ability in a rental house, but I'm telling you, that's what I'm aimed at.
Yeah.
That's what
you're aimed at, because we've talked about it. What does this look like?
This is what my children are also seeing too. And I don't need some radical leftist or even some sort of squishy right-wing person or squishy sort of fake conservative who is otherwise a nice person and maybe a decent educator who just slips in those poison pills of current and every, I want to reject modernity in so much as it's resulted in bad outcomes for human beings.
Yes.
Because I'm watching Highway to Heaven. We're watching Little House on the Prairie with the kids. And those were filmed at about the same time. Little House was first, and they're both Michael Landon, which is really funny, who had, by the way, I think he had 12 kids or 55 kids or something like that. He was married 3 times. He made babies left and right. Apparently he was a real ladies' man. But the funny thing about that scenario is he valued people. There were positive lessons that came out of every single entertainment. They were also teaching a moral value, which we used to do because we had shared culture in this country. And then maybe the most important thing was all of the extras, all of the people that are not the main actors, they're not obese and they are not unhealthy in the way that we see them today. And that was only in my lifetime. So from the time that I became an adult and walking around, the average person is really fat. Like the Kash Patel AI video that we started with. They're all that. They're all carrying an extra huge amount of weight. That is because we're feeding them poison and we're expecting all these terrible things that they're going to go put in their mouth. And then if you listen to what our government is telling us, and even the ones that are supposed to be the quote unquote political right now, Republicans claim to be on the right. You got RFK Jr., who's a legit freaking lifelong Democrat, telling you that the government's going to come in and solve your food supply system. How about you get the hell out of it? Which goes to what you were talking about earlier. The government's been the problem the whole time. And one party basically says we should fix the problems in government with more government. And the other party says we should fix all the problem with more government. But the answer always seems to be more government, which is why I homeschool. I'm like, I just want to I want to withdraw. I'm going to be a conscientious objector to all of the modern problems. And a lot of it starts with education and foundational ideas. And what is your expectation of what can be done? What do you think is normal?
Well,
and my kids are going to have a real wild version of it, by the way.
I think there's a lot to be normal. Patrick, you're going to finish up after I finish up with Kyle, so you're on deck. Because I want you still to go through B and C. You're okay with that?
I hope he picks.
Cover that. Huh?
He's got to pick up 2 bats.
2 bats.
Swing 2 bats. Yeah.
Okay, so there'll be more. Patrick's going to go through with you the outcome of what they said about the State of the Union. But what Kyle's saying right now has a lot more to do with pulling kids away from their parents. And this is what President Trump had to say. Let's go ahead and play 6.
But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy.
He's smiling. What a demon.
Amazing. 7.
But finally, they did stand up when we were talking about insider trading.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's because they know they don't have to do anything because it's never going to happen.
it's never because
It's a virtue signal.
Yes. Yes.
They know where the American population sits on this. Americans don't think that you should have special access to inside things that make you wealthy. You shouldn't know what the rules are or you shouldn't be able to bet on a rigged horse race.
I agree.
The fundamental fairness says no. And everybody knows that. And they know that too. They know how it polls. So they all stand up. Even Nancy Pelosi, who went and got interviewed later on, and she sounded drunk as hell and sort of semi-demented. She sounded slightly more together than my grandmother, who's 96 years old. And God bless her, she has like the memory of a goldfish right now. Like I'll talk to her and she'll be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then a couple minutes later, she'll be like, "So who are you again?" You're like, while we're talking. And I'll be like, "Oh my God, Grandma, hey, how's it going?" And then she'll be like, "You look great though. You look great." And I was like, "You speak, but you're so out to lunch." And she's awesome. She's freaking awesome. But I don't want my grandmother in charge of anything. I want her to live the happiest life she can while she's confused about who she is and where she is. You know, let her be loved by her children. Let her be taken care of, which is what my uncles and my aunts are doing. Great. Like, she doesn't need to be in freaking Congress. She doesn't need to be doing what Nancy Pelosi's doing. Nancy Pelosi's one step away from not knowing where she is either. And she's out there standing for insider trading, even though she's totally guilty of all that stuff. You can see it.
And she's guilty by the tens of millions of dollars every year.
Probably hundreds of millions over her career. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's so crazy, but there's no liability for them. So they know they have to stand up for that because they won't do anything about it.
Yeah, see, Bob says, "I got to bounce. Thanks, Joe and Kyle." Hey, thank you.
Boom.
Allie, James is here, so I'm going to go hang out with him because I got to go talk to him about how I'm going to beat him in basketball. And Kyle, I got to call you later about some of the stuff that I'm working on, specifically about expanding my gun empire.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Down to your end of the world. So thanks for joining me. There's a lot. I mean, we got to talk about. There's never a dull moment when Kyle and I get together because there's so much stuff that we want to talk about. And yeah, so he's busy, I'm busy, so we usually do it on the show.
We give you guys access to our bro phone call.
we should just do a thing.
That's essentially what schedule time on the podcast to talk. That's it.
But thanks, brother. I appreciate you. I'll be down there next week, so hope to see you.
Sounds
I'll
good.
come up and see you. We'll take the family out to dinner and just kind of relax a little bit. But thanks, brother. Love you, man. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for just being you.
Yeah, bud. Love you too. Talk soon.
All right. So Kyle is, I mean, I think Kyle knows, and we talk a lot about like what's next. What are we going to do? We're going to get a property in Montana and just disappear off the. The answer is yes, probably. Yeah, probably going to do that. But in the meantime, we're going to do what we can to protect and preserve things around us and talk to the public about what we think you should do to protect and preserve as well. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, Patrick's going to talk to you about some of the responses we had related to the State of the Union and how the left sees things. Actually, I don't want to say they're not even the left anymore. It's this despondent, seditious, crazy, nutball, demonic leadership that literally is so disconnected from reality, they don't even know what day it is. But we'll be right back and enjoy it. Patrick's going to pray you out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. See you.
In every threat,
in every stitch. Honor-bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot.
The call to the bullpen is brought to you by AT&T for all your calling needs. Hey everyone, Patrick here. Yeah, didn't know this was happening, but hey, I plug in, I get down and dirty. I know what's going on. I'm glad Joe trusts me to finish out the show with you. I appreciate you that are still on, sticking around. But yeah, we're going to go through the Dems' response to the State of the Union last night, and it was quite something else, just watching some of these sound bites that came out, some of the speeches that were made, just the absolute lunacy, straight up lies, fabrications, and gaslighting of the American people. That seems what all the left and the Dems are able to do. They could not stand for anything positive, anything pro-America, anything America first, anything putting Americans first. They just can't. They can't get behind. It is the true contempt that they have for the American people, the American way of life, the U.S. Constitution. Everything that has built this country, they vehemently hate and stand up against and attack over and over and over again. It was quite fascinating to watch that dynamic last night. There's maybe one rational, and I can't believe I'm saying this, one kind of rational leftist Democrat that's on that side, and that dude's had a stroke. You know, like, it's crazy. We're going to get into Fetterman in a little bit, but it's absolutely nuts what the other side of the aisle, they have been completely revealed, okay? Like, if you do not know where they stand, I don't know what else you need to hear, see, or experience before you realize once they come to power, they are coming and they are swinging and swinging hard, because that's how much hate and contempt they have for us, the American people. It was very evident last night. So, last night, the left, some of them boycotted, a lot of them sat, a couple of them yelled and looked like complete buffoons. But then they also had their own People's State of the Union event. You know, Joy Reid was there, and, you know, a couple others, the freak show, I'll call them, because that's what they are. But just listen to her to start off. Joy Reid, here we go.
Attention all MAGA trolls. And with apologies to the pastor who gave the invocation, your bullshit is not welcome here. And to paraphrase one of my favorite actors in the world, Robert De Niro, I'm going to slightly paraphrase him. Fuck y'all. We're here to hear the truth and to hear from impacted people, not to see or hear from you. So go back and pay attention to your orange lying friend.
Yeah, that's how you want to extend an olive branch of peace to people that think and speak that way towards you about us. And we can't even agree on any facts. impacted people. You want to talk about the fallen angel families, the ones that the families that have to suffer because their family members were killed by illegal aliens in this country? Anyone want to talk about that? Want to talk about the young ladies that are being assaulted in sporting events throughout this country at the high school and middle school level because they are being forced to compete against individuals that have gender dysphoria, a mental health issue, but they're being allowed to compete against female athletes and they're sexually assaulted them in wrestling matches, and then they're also taking accolades away from the females in track and field competitions, right? There was a one last year in Minneapolis that was a stud softball pitcher that helped their team, I believe, win the state championship. It is costing females a real experience in sports and to enjoy competing against their own, right? Like, what do you want to tell us, Joy? Please tell us. Please tell us. Show me who's impacted. Show me, please. Renee Good's family, she hit someone with her car. Please show me who else. A couple other people that got tossed around by ICE agents out there. Give me a break. Okay, the honest reality is that America is going through a cultural shift, undoing what has been done. And by doing that, you're going to ruffle some feathers. People are going to be unhappy. People are going to be pissed. But it's bringing or attempting to bring this country back to what it was, make it somewhat normal again. And also, let's not forget, the Democrat policies forced Trump to go into Minnesota because of the voter fraud, yes, but also the financial fraud that the Somali immigrant community was levying against the state of Minnesota and the American people. Right? But let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about the fraud that's being uncovered. Right? That doesn't matter. Right? Stealing from the American people is irrelevant. Orange man bad. Orange man likes America. Orange man speaks about making America better again. No, 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 no. Right? And they just went on this full-fledged attack. And then they moved inside. Okay? And then you got to check this dude out that was running around in a giraffe costume. Okay? This is what drives the Democratic Party. If it's not mental health issues, I don't know what is. Cut 2.
I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white, there ain't no place I'm going to." And then all of a sudden, he's not ready for primetime player ICE agents with 2 weeks of training come after me. I got arrested in Portland. I got arrested in Minneapolis in the last 3 weeks twice. But they can't erase a movement, all right? What I went through is 1/1000th of a lot of marginalized people and what they have to go through in those ICE detention centers. And I want to tell you something right now. There's an announcement. Pumpkin Spice Satan is making his way to the State of the Union. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to rev up the show right now. We're giving out prizes. We're going to have bingo. We're going to storm the White House with love and compassion.
Defiance.org. You see this nonsense that's out there? Yeah. They're in a mini insurrection on the streets. Okay? What they did to the ICE agents in Minneapolis, what they do throughout the country about ICE agents, doxing them, photographing them, tracking their cars on databases and flagging cars so that if those cars happen to show up, the protesters will be able to identify those cars and prevent those cars from exercising their official duty. Like, this is what the left and communists are. They are a bunch of agitators, ill-informed, mental midgets that say whatever their the treatment of people, the illegals in these detention facilities. You were caught being in this country illegally. You committed a criminal act. You need to go. Period. Point blank. What's the problem here? Right? Us Americans are tired of this. And the majority of Americans want all illegal immigrants gone because people are understanding the actual cost that is placed on them at the hands of illegal immigrants and what they get when they come here to America. Right? When the first wave of illegal immigrants came here, right, the Europeans in America, the Irish, the Italians, right? The Eastern Europeans, the Russians, the Japanese, the Italians. I already said them already. The Irish, I said those. The English, they started it. The French, right? When they came over and they weren't given anything. They made a stop. There was a check-in point. I hope people realize that for the most part. There's a check-in point when you first came into the country at Ellis Island. Unfortunately, a lot of people got their names butchered and their families' histories just got washed away because the knowledge wasn't there to articulate how to communicate. The spelling wasn't able, right? So like that stuff legitimately happened. But the people that are coming here were okay with that because they were coming here for a new purpose, a new start. So a lot of them were okay. And believe me, I have a lot of Italian friends that can track their lineage, right? And I've spoken to some of them about this years ago. And they're okay with that. Some of them were actually my coworkers at my first job. Their families were okay with that because of what America meant to them. And eventually they began their own family lineage. Their new name started here, right? They weren't given free hotels or free jobs when they came here. They checked in at Ellis Island, took a little ferry across, but got dropped off at the main island, and you were on your own. A lot of people lived 14 to a room. Worked 8, 10, 15-hour days, depending on how long the sun stayed up before electricity came, right? And then you can keep the factories running long, right? But that's the truth of it. And that grit, that determination is what made America what it is today. Now today, when you have illegals come in, they get hit off with everything. And also, let's not forget, right? We have this big push about vaccinations and mandated vaccination for kids going to school. Let me ask you this. Were illegal immigrant kids forced to did they carry over their vaccination records when they came over? Under the Biden administration, they all have that lock, file, and key when they came over. And then, because we didn't force the illegal immigrants that came over by the millions to be vaccinated here in this country when they came over illegally, but we made sure every American that had a job here, we made it extremely hard for them to keep that job if they weren't vaccinated. That makes a lot of sense. And that's been magically forgotten about. But also, though, like I have friends that can't get their kids into public school because they're refusing to vaccinate their kids. But at the same time, illegal immigrant kids, are they allowed to go to schools without proper vaccination records? You should look into that. I did a quick Grok search. I'm very confused by what I heard, what I've read, which is, yes, they're allowed to start school without the proper vaccination records, but then the school could work with them to get the kid vaccinated or to get them waivers. So I wonder how that actually works. But yeah, illegal immigrants can actually start enrolling in school if they're not vaccinated. That's just the kind of what I found out on Grok. But yet American kids are being held out. I have a buddy that has his daughters being held out of school because he won't get them vaccinated. Isn't that something? So I wonder how deep that actually goes. I wonder, like, the kids that came in 2020, in 2021 illegally, it is now 2026, they had 5 years. I wonder if they've gotten all 150 vaccinations, if they're still in the public school system, and if the public school system is following up on that. Because I also recently seen that apparently there's a measles spike happening. Now, I wonder how that happened. I wonder why there's a measles spike, because if we're all vaccinated here in America because of the measles vaccination being available to us for so long, why is there a measles bump? Oh. We allowed illegal immigrants come in. They didn't care about their vaccinations. Didn't make them do anything. Hey, come on in. Oh, you need a place to stay? Got you. Need a pair of sneakers? Got you. Need a cell phone? Got you. I got 2 for you. Boom, boom. Here's your burner, and here's the one you could work from. You need some EBT? Got you here. But no, you don't need to worry about, if you're bringing in any third world diseases, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. All good. Keep it pushing. And that's legitimately what happened. And that's what the left is. A bunch of hypocrites. And like I said earlier, there's basically one person that's kind of semi-normal now. And I can't believe I'm saying this based on where this dude was 7-8 years ago on the scale. Dude wearing Timberlands, his Timberland hoodie, jeans, refusing to get dressed up when he goes to work. Also had a stroke. But he's actually making the most sense out of anybody on the left right now. Let's play Fetterman.
The rest of people in my party would stand up and clap for. I clapped with a lot of those things that it seemed like others. Like I stood up and I clapped to recognize the family that lost their daughter, the Ukrainian girl that was stabbed to death, in North Carolina. And I stood up and I clapped that political prisoner from Venezuela, how you can't celebrate those kinds of things. And now I also celebrated all the veterans that were in the audience as well too, and even more the political things like Erica Kirk. I stood up and I clapped for her as well too. Now here, can't we just be more kind to a widow? I mean, we just shouldn't be that long ago that a widow, with young children has her husband murdered. How we can't just acknowledge that as well too. Wow. Whether white people would attack her, whether the left or the right either. So I'm always going to stand up and clap for things that I agreed with like striking the Iranian sites now for me. I never worry about who's standing up or clapping. If I see it, I'm going to. If I don't agree with it or whatever, I'm certainly not going to yell and scream and disrupt the whole thing.
Give him credit. Showing some type of humanity. Drawing common ground, believing that Americans should actually be put first. Believing a grieving widow should be clapped for, regardless of how you feel about Erica Kirk or whatnot. It's the right thing to do in that moment. Right? They clapped a couple of times, though. The Dems, they stand a couple of times. They applauded themselves when they stopped the tax cut being passed. I believe they applauded Team USA Hockey. But collectively, it was just a despicable display of trying to come together as a country. And Trump gave him opportunities to stand, and then he let him have it. He addresses it. He gives them a chance to rectify. Doesn't let him have it. And they have been completely exposed across all levels. There's no way they could spin it. There's no way they could backtrack it. And if you have Democratic friends that still support the Democratic Party, ask them those questions about what they saw from the State of the Union tonight. And don't let them backtrack about Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. Hey, do you believe Americans should be put before illegal immigrants? It's a yes or no question. And if you can't answer that, or if your answer is no, Americans shouldn't, then you know where your friends lie, and you know where their political allegiance is, and you know there is no saving them. There is no way we could have a cohesive United States government if one political party believes illegal aliens should be a priority and the other political party believes Americans should be a priority. At the bare minimum, both political parties should agree Americans should be number one. But we know that's not the case. Most of the times it's the special interests that dominate. And that's why the Democrats are sitting their ass down on that one, because they know their fraud machine, their special interests, their NGOs, their fraud cycle is about to come crashing down all around them. That's why Ilhan Omar is yelling from the top of her lungs over there. I recently saw this morning that I believe they're launching an investigation into her husband, not Ilhan herself, but her husband/brother, whose net worth grew somewhere around $30 million over 3 years. That dude knows how to invest. Or does he know how to just siphon money? Only time's going to tell. And then you have Spanberger, the new governor of Virginia. She was tasked with the job of issuing the official Democratic response to President Trump's State of the Union address. Why would they put her up there? She just won the governorship of Virginia, ex-CIA. So are they putting a fresh face up there, or are they putting someone up there that is a good liar, that can lie to the American people with a straight face? Yes, the politicians can do that for the most part, mostly, but there are certain ones that are better than others. And I thought the way she conveyed her message last night was well done. If you're informed, though, you know what she's saying is complete bullshit. But if you're not informed and you're just looking to get reaffirmed in the belief of that your party is right, she did a great job. Right? And that's what the purpose of that is to reaffirm that, is to shore up their party support. It's not really so much to reach across to try and talk to Republicans about anything. No, it's about shoring up anyone that possibly could be wavered by Trump and the behavior of the Democrats not standing for 5 different things, for the standing of Irina Savitska, who was killed by a repeat offender that was released from jail. Democrats couldn't stand for that, right? So they really needed to put someone good out there last night that could do damage control. And if you think about it, their talent pool is real small. It's not deep. It's not. Hakeem Jeffries, joke. Supposed to be Obama 2.0. No. He struggles to find words. He's not organic. He's not authentic. He word searches because he's not a human being. He doesn't know how to he doesn't have a conversation, and he doesn't have the ability to actually talk fluidly because he has to think of everything he has to say, because he knows everything he has to say is bullshit coming out of his mouth. Right? So he's out. Chucky Boy. Been there, done that. AOC. She just bombed on the national stage. Right? So they kind of had to shift through and figure it out. Oh, we got one. Hey, we got one in Virginia. Let's put her up. Let's take a listen to her response.
In his farewell address, George Washington warned us, about the possibility of, quote, cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men rising to power. But he also encouraged us, all Americans, to unite in a common cause, to move this nation forward. That is our charge once more, and that is what we are seeing across the country. It is deeply American and patriotic to do so, and it is how we ensure that the state of our union remains strong, not just this year, but for the next 250 years as well, because we, the people, have the power to make change, the power to stand up for what is right, the power to demand more of our nation.
Sounds good. Sounds good. But you got to look behind the curtain. Let's play the next clip. Let's see what she did within the first month and a half of becoming governor of Virginia. Play this.
We had a big election last year in Virginia. Abigail Spanberger and Virginia Democrats won big because they told voters that they would reduce the cost of living and improve affordability in the Commonwealth. But this legislative session, a lot of Virginia Democratic lawmakers have proposed over 50 new tax increases and proposals. I'll read some of them to you. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you ordered things on Amazon, Uber Eats, UPS, FedEx, etc. Investment income tax, event tax, concert tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, got to catch my breath, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, those aren't taxes, but drivers would pay more fines if that went through. A dry cleaning tax, concert tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax. Now, I did reach out to Spanberger's office and Don Scott's office. He's the speaker here in Virginia, as well as the leader in the Senate, asking them, how would all of this make life more affordable to you? We'll put their responses on our webpage, WJLA.com.
So there you go. You got her saying what she said there, but in reality, she is going to be crushing the people of Virginia behind the Democratic policies because they don't have any good answer except tax, 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 because you got to constantly generate money in order to pay out entitlements to people that shouldn't get entitlements, in order to keep the gravy train funneling through their NGOs into their coffers' pockets so that they can still live their pretty good lives, while us Americans continuously get sucked dry by the political elite. She does a good job on camera. She spoke well. She even pulled on America's pride, talking about George Washington and what he envisioned in his farewell address. Well, do you honestly think George Washington would be proud of the 50 new plus taxes that Abigail and her cronies are looking to implement in the state of Virginia? Not to mention the gerrymandering and redistricting of Virginia that's now going through the battles in the courts. Virginia is around a 46% Republican state. Somehow, though, the Democrats are going to gerrymander that state down into a 9-1 split. 9 votes for Democrats, 1 vote, 1 representative for Republicans. That's what we're looking at. That's the barrel of the gun we're looking down. That's the Democratic Party. They play to win. They play to win at all costs. They will make sure that they get their agenda across the finish line. The elections need to be handled. President Trump, we need to root this out. SAVE Act needs to get on the table. SAVE Act, voter ID, same-day ballots, in-person ballots need to occur. We need to start getting our hands around this system because the primaries are right around the corner. Whew, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And with that, I'm gonna pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to just hop in the chair today and voice my opinion to the people of Untamed Nation. It was a pleasant surprise, but a welcome surprise. I always enjoy connecting. Dear Lord, thank you for my family. Another beautiful day out here in sunny Colorado, 60 degrees, sunny, beautiful day. Just giving me a reminder that there's beauty all around us. It takes a 60-degree day to hit me in the face with it, but it is all around us. So thank you, Lord, for giving that us today. Dear Lord, please continue to protect over Joe as he has his medical procedures coming up. Make sure the doctors are on top of their game, please. Give the doctors the wisdom and the courage to perform the procedures correctly, and make sure our man gets back in the chair safely. Love you, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dad. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to leave you with this. It's going to be Trump's closing of the State of the Union address. Very important. Everyone else, stay tuned, watch it, have a good night. We will see you tomorrow.
Because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays $1 grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Rolling, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud. We'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud. We'll be one man for the people. Set our great rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the nights. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave